like for things to change, or do you not like for things to change? And put your hand up. I would like answers. Yes, Sal. You don't like things to change. Yes, Kyle. You do like things to change. Sometimes you like things to change. What's it depend on? Well, hold on. What do you mean good or bad? Well, how will you know if it's a good change or a bad change?
Good change is something good will happen, and bad change is something bad.
Well, who decides if it's good or bad?
So it depends for me on changing on it, because if the change is good, or what the change is.
Yeah, okay. All right, so change is okay. What else? Yes, sir.
Good change.
Good change, okay. Here's what I'm gathering, is that we like change when it's something that we want to change. But we don't like change when it's something we don't want to change. Am I right? Yes, it can be. Change can be scary.
Having a new teacher could be scary. It could be kind of nerve-wracking. Then you get a lot of you get change. You get a lot like because you're a new teacher.
That's true. Anybody else? All right, guys. Hi, y'all keep the conversations down. Let's focus on what we're doing.
I think it's human nature to be resistant to change.
Okay, very good.
And I know I'll speak for myself and say, whether I like it or don't, I'm still in resistance.
And I like that point, because as we kind of said, we do like change that's good for what we think is good, and we don't like change that's not what we think is good. But even when we know it's change that we're going to probably like, we're pretty resistant to change mostly. And that's because, and I'm going to go, we'll use human nature, the term human nature. It does resist change. Let's go even further than that. The spirit of man resists change because we are creatures of habit. And there's no doubt about that. So we're kind of talking about changing things right now. Well, let me give you some examples of change that's going on for us. The report that came out about a month or so ago for the growth, the change in population and demographics of our very area here in the Panhandle of Florida, a report came out just, like I said, a month or two ago. This was concerning Walton County. It says that we have to build 233 new homes every month for the next 5 years to keep up with the influx of new people coming into Walton County. And that number is even higher if you go to everywhere in the county. Now, let me ask y'all this now. What do y'all think about the change concerning more new people, more people moving in? Yes. Like it. Why not? Right, okay, Will? What? So what's wrong with that? They're changing our way of life, right? Yeah. Well, if they build something on your car. Yeah, I got it. Yeah. And if we're good. Yeah, I heard you. What was that, Richie? Hey, and I'll be honest, Jessica knows what, in our little neighborhood here, in the last year and a half, we have had an unbelievable influx into our little neighborhood. And I'm talking about from all over the country. We got people from, well, not just the country, the world.
Well, when you have the best governor,
It draws a lot of attention.
It does draw, and you are absolutely correct. That's what's happening.
Yeah, but why here? Go to Orlando.
Well, they would, except for that whole part of Florida is full now. And to continue on, not joking on that, the reason that Freeport right now is the fastest growing community in the United States is because south of the bay is full now. That's why.
As close as you can get to the water.
And that's right. And so it's continuing to push up and push up. And so what else we're seeing now is more growth in our area. pouring a 5,000 square foot, concrete slab for a big metal building for a family up in northeast Walton County that are moving in from Texas. They're rich folks that, I mean, just got all this, but they're leaving Texas now to move to Florida because Florida is more conservative. So that's why it's happening. We're seeing this influence. So we are in a change. Those of us that's a little bit older really get to see it. You younger folks don't see it quite the way we see it because I actually remember, to give y'all an example of this, I remember when the house that y'all live in wasn't even built there. When my house, the Saskin's house, were the only, and the Pastoria, were the only houses on that. I remember that. None of the houses between my house and your house, none of those houses.
It was actually a trash dump.
I've seen a lot of change, but here's what I have seen. I've seen that in the last couple of years, that change has just exploded. That's not going to slow down. So change is something that is inevitable. It's going to happen. So you made a very good point. Whether you want it to change or not, it has to change. And those things happen. But what does change make you feel? What is the emotions that you feel from change? All right. Hopelessness, very good. Okay. Stress, that's a very good one. Anxiety, very good. Yeah, anger, yeah. These are all things that change brings out in us. So it causes us to not feel real good. It causes us to, just have this range of emotions. And most of them are not good emotions. Even when, just for an example, some of the new neighbors that we have, they're great people. They're great neighbors and all that, but it doesn't change the fact that there's people that I didn't have there before.
And I think change is harder to
yeah, I think it is, unless, but if you, I will say this, if you get to a point in your prayer life, I think it becomes something that you do handle better when you get older.
Well,
You may not like some of the stuff.
but I'm saying I used to like it. I do not.
Well, now that's very true. When you do reach a point, how did Jeff Foxworthy say it about his daddy in clothes fashion? It's like he got off the fashion train in the 1970s and refused to ever change
Right,
anymore.
exactly.
And that, yeah, so you're right.
Yeah,
It's
I
what,
used to like it and now I don't.
well, and we get, and then we have these range of emotions that we talk about. Yeah, nobody likes that at all. But anyway, I think we've come to establish that change, even when necessary and even when good, brings out a lot of negative emotions in us. Even when it is good change. Change into a new and better job is still a very anxious thing to do. Or going from the middle school to the high school. Those are changes that are good, but then they're not good. They bring out all these emotions. Well, let me tell you all a little something. What if I told you that there is something that does not change? Something that you can rest assured that there's no change and you can feel safe in it. All right. We're going to look into this something. Let me just something that comes to mind on this. Any of y'all ever been seasick? No. You ever dealt with seasickness? On the water? Now, let me ask you this. Do you know what the cure for seasickness is?
Looking at land.
Well, you don't always have land. There's a few places that I've been thousands of miles from any of that.
I know, but I'm saying I didn't lose my seasickness until I seen land.
Well, right, so you couldn't see land. So do you know that there is a way to combat seasickness even before you make it back to land? And no medicine needed. Do you know what it is?
Sleep.
No.
Jesus.
No, you'll wake up and it'll do it. No. When you are out there doing all of this, like this and everything, that boat's moving. And that's why you get seasick, because there's no steady motion. It's all these different motions, and your equilibrium can't handle it. You know what you do?
Move with.
Whoa, tuck your head, your eyes. And you look out all the way to what the horizon line is, where the sky and the water meet. And at that point, because of that distance, which if you're on a ship just above, or a boat just above the water line, is about 7 miles out there. If you're up there on the flight deck of the carrier, it's about 13 miles over there to where that roll comes together. You look at that point, and you fix your eyes on that point right there. That line, you know why? That line don't move. That line is steady. It is the same all the time. And when you look at that, and you start focusing on that, your equilibrium starts to come back and bounce back out. So once you focus on that steady line, that unchanging line, that seasickness starts to go away. You're a land animal, and your equilibrium can't handle that. So you have to get back to something that is steady and fixed. That's how you do that. Now, how does that work in together? I'm going to start with this right here. We're going to look at the one that does not change at all. None. Nada. I'm going to read to you from the book of Exodus. In Exodus chapter 3, verse 14, I'm going to just read the first part of that. First line in mine. Exodus 3:14, the first line there says, "And God said unto Moses, I am that I am." And you notice that's capitalized. Why do you think that's capitalized? Because it is boldly proclaimed. And what does that mean? I am that I am.
God doesn't change.
God doesn't change. It's saying that I am everything. I am. So, kind of like on that seasickness and looking at the horizon, I'll tell you about it's the unchanging line there. It's the steady line. It's the even keel. It's all of that stuff right there. You know what else? I'm going to further that a little bit more. We're going to end up with just a few verses, but we're going to look all the way through the Bible at some of this stuff. Let's look in the book of Malachi. Anybody know where that's at without looking in the front? Where's Malachi? What's significant about Malachi?
Is either the very middle or the
What?
very end.
It's the very last.
The very last book in the Old Testament. Thank you. See, that's that trivia stuff. Malachi chapter 3 verse 6 says this, and I'm not going to read all of it, I'm going to read the first line. For I am the Lord, I change not. So we now know that I am, he does not change. He is a fixed point. He's just this fixed line that we can focus on. Guys, focus. Matter of fact, spread it out. So now we know that I am does not change at all. None. He don't change. How does that sound for stability? Sound pretty good to you? Something that does not change at all. Go ahead. But everything changes. But all right, let's keep looking at that. I told you we was going to kind of encase the whole Bible. Go to Revelation chapter 1. The first chapter of what is significant about Revelations? It's the last what? Last book of the Bible. It's the very last book of the Bible now. So we have already visited the last book in the Old Testament, and we've now visited the last book in the New Testament. Revelation chapter 1 verse 8 says this, I am Alpha and Omega, the beginning and the ending, saith the Lord, which is, and which was, and which is to come, the Almighty. God was, God is, and God always will be let me think. We all know that God created the earth, right? Go deeper than that. God created time that governs the earth. That's what I'm saying. I mean, he's even more than just the guy that created the earth. So now we know that I am does not change. And not only does he not change, he was the same when the earth was created, because he created it, but he was also the same that he is right now today, that he was before he created the earth. He does not change it at all. We got a steady stability. We got the most confident stability that we could possibly find there. There is no change in that whatsoever. The guy that created our earth, created time, created everything, does not change at all. You see, there are very few things that don't change. Now, let me tell you what. Some would argue that there are several things that don't change, and you know what? In a sense, we can say that. Now, we're going to visit the book of Genesis. What is significant about the book of Genesis? It's the first book of the Bible. We have hit spots all over the Bible. Look at Genesis chapter 8, and I will read verse 22. Genesis 8:22 says, "While the earth remaineth, seed time and harvest, and cold and heat, and summer and winter, and day and night shall not cease." So would some say, does that means that those things do not change? Is that what I said?
They always come, but they're not.
It don't change? It does change. Now,
I mean,
we will always,
we'll
always have seed time, we'll always have harvest, we'll always have cold, we'll always have heat, we'll always have summer, and we'll always have winter, we'll always have day, and we'll always have night. Is the day the same amount of hours or minutes every day? So it changes then. What about the night? It changes. Is every winter freezing cold starting on December the 21st and going through till March the 22nd or whatever? No. Sometimes it's, I think well, I'd say that except for Easter ain't coming in. Yeah. It'll be Mark dusting that weekend. So even though those are constants,
well, that's what I mean by.
they're constants, but they do change. But you know what? God, I am that I am, that does not change, that is Alpha and Omega, that was here before it began and will be here after it ends, has been the exact same this whole time. Nothing's changed. There's not been a little blip. He didn't do this. If he drew out a line that described the change of God, it wouldn't have any wavers in it. We're reading all about it. It is an absolute straight line. It is perfectly straight. It has got no bow in it, no bend, nothing. Even though these things never go away, they still have change. The God still don't have change. He don't change at all, not a little bit, not sort of, none at all. In Hebrews chapter 13, verse 8, it says this: Jesus Christ, the same yesterday and today and forever. He never changes. So, here's my point. Life causes anxiety. It causes stress, hopelessness. Change. Change does all of these things. That's stuff that's inevitable in our lives every day. Listen, y'all know I worked as a wildland firefighter for years. The thing that we did, we had these really great systems that were, that we put in place for organization to organize the folks working a fire. We had, so it took all of this. But you know what the most important part of that organization was? That it was a fluid system, or in other words, it would change with the changes that were inevitable. Change was going to happen. Change is going to happen. Our community is going to change. Our church membership is going to change. All of it, our school is going to change. Our work is going to change. All of those things are going to change. That's never going to change. That's not going to stop changing. That's never going to stop. I guess that's never going to change either. Those kind of things are not going to, they're never going to quit. It's going to keep on changing. You're going to keep on having stress and anxiety and all those things about those changes unless you look out there and you find the horizon line, you fix your eyes on that steady, unchanging line, and then you kind of start to get your equilibrium will come back into shape. And you'll start to level back out, and that stress and that anxiety and all those things will start to fade away. Just like the seasickness will start fading away. If you just fix your eyes on God. Because He don't change. And He won't change. Kind of like old Marcel Ledbetter said that Aunt Bercy, or not Marcel, but Uncle Pet said to Aunt Bercy, when she says, you know, years ago, we sat a lot closer in this old Ford truck, and he didn't ever even skip a beat. He simply said, Aunt Pet, I ain't moved. We move away from God. We do the change. God don't change. He'll be there. Just like old Uncle Mercy, he'll be sitting. He's still at the driver's seat, right at the steering wheel. He just has a little bit closer. I encourage you to get closer to the Lord, especially when you're feeling the stresses of change. And the hopelessness of change. We got any questions, comments, concerns, anything like that? Would any of y'all like to share what it was that was so important that you just decided to talk about that instead of listening up to church? I mean, I'm willing to listen now. Guys, we got to learn to focus more on what's going on. Not just for me or in here, in your life. Give your attention, your undevoted attention to whoever is doing whatever that's leading you. Your side conversation will not have important, I promise you. They'll wait. Show a little respect to whoever has the glory. And wherever, and I'm not talking about just here, I'm talking about in your life. That's called sucking up. It works. Thank you very much. That's very much. You don't worry about it, then Kim will take care of that later. Anybody else? So we got it. We know we're not going to ever be stressed anymore, right? No more anxiety, no more nothing. Correct?
No problem.
I promise you this. I promise you this. Nobody focused in my work today, neither. So don't feel bad. Must have been in the air. I promise you this. When you start feeling like you can't, get this out. There is your horizon line. Ooh, hey, it's perfect. That prayer will do it for you. Okay. We good? Everybody's good. Everybody right on. You good? Are you good? I think so. Good at baseball? Hi. Hi. Good at pitching? We're all good at something. Everybody is good at something. I promise you.
I'm good at fishing.
Me too. Good luck with that. But hey, that's all right. I'll keep practicing. All right. Yeah, 10 hours work for me. Hey, all right. So everybody's good, right? We're all good? All right. Let's do some prayer requests. Yes, ma'am. Miss Tracy Carter, Hipton style, I think. Hipton. Yes. Let's do remember Miss Tracy, who has a slightly better report today. I have. God, really?
Y'all on the struggle bus today over there.
I'm going to figure out what the tension's going to be. Focus. You do it, I promise you. Ken. All right. Tracy got well, a few things positive happened, which I think Jessica shared this too, I think, on the report. But I also seen something right before church. Did you see the part about the heart rate is now even lower? It's down to less than 110. So her heart rate has steadily been coming down, which has been extremely elevated. So that's better. But I found it awesome that the car that was giving them trouble, find out that the motor is completely recall. They will not have to pay a dime. They will get a brand new motor put in the vehicle. That's awesome. That's the Lord blessing. Lord heal it. It has not gotten worse, and it's not spreading anymore, which is a positive sign. So it seems to hopefully maybe the beginning of the antibiotics have contained it, and it'll continue to get better.
They also put her on the feed to take the pressure off. I took that.
Take all
But
the-
she pulled it out in the middle of the night too. And
Now
they
her-
put it back. So her throat is killing her. But they let her have some ice chips.
I only looked at today, I haven't.
I looked just before church, and it, I mean, it's still bad, but,
Fevers were making her hallucinate. So he said she was trying to pull off everything.
and that is a common thing.
And I think they were worse than her medication. Hallucination. That
And chemo, hallucinate, or all kinds of medicines. I mean, and it takes a little while. That's why they have doctors that actually don't do anything but determine medicine problems, and things like that. Yes, ma'am. Faith, yep, Faith is not feeling well right now, so y'all do remember Faith. She's just sickly. Yes, sir.
Ashaku, Nigeria, persecuted Christians, and Justin.
Thank you very much.
Very
can
good.
understand
I
every
heard
word.
that. Every
Good
bit
job.
of it.
Anybody else notice his voice sounds a little?
Yeah, I think you.
Yes.
He wasn't just louder.
I know.
A little crackly.
A little crackly.
Where is Justin?
Thanks for pointing that out.
Justin is in Southeast
He's
Asia.
Asia.
No, that would not be Southeast Asia. That would actually be Northeast Asia. Malaysia, Burma, not Burma,
That's a history. Okay, it's small.
okay.
We don't have to.
They do. Got it right. All right, who else? What we, yes, sir. All right. Anybody else? Yes, ma'am.
Poor old back. I've had to dress this morning.
That boy had a
I
time.
had to dress him with his socks and everything.
Tell him to quit hurting if he just gives me all his boats and stuff and he just quits fishing and goes to work for me.
Well,
Quit
look,
working
this
so
is
hard.
how pathetic that he thinks of it. I was like, I don't think you need to drive to work because you lose feeling in your legs. What you gonna do? Because it's in that back so you can drop them down.
Well, that's why you take a broomstick and use it.
Well, look, he goes, I'm not wasting a day off for this. I've got
I think that is a very thoughtful process of using your, as we used to call it, your ranger lead. So, okay, anybody else?
Richard, is there any updates on Peter's?
We moved down into a regular room. He is able to talk. Go here. We had a rough night last night, we having trouble getting his medicine. The medicine he needs is balanced with his pain medicine. The brain scan he did is state, I mean, we're not seeing any decline or any worsening since his swelling was and his fractures were what they call closed fractures, so when the swelling went down, the skull went back into place. It didn't have any.
It can, and knows everybody.
He knows.
Somebody told me earlier, or said earlier that they nurses would walk in and ask you know what year it is. He said he finally told one of them, will you write the year down over so everybody quit asking me what it is? So, and that sounds like Terry there.
No, he was that one again, if I right on it.
So was he like, did no
That's
was
a-
somebody with him.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
that's the only part that I didn't know.
Yeah.
He's the one that did it.
I'm looking at somebody else.
Yeah.
But we need to put his siblings, especially his older three or four, or they having a rough time. They can't go see him.
Now, what is their reason right now for that? You know?
I guess it's a hospital policy, they're not letting two people a day,
Right.
and that's
Pat, don't be there.
that's two people, and that's it, period. They ain't two at a time, it's not, you know, it's
Not
swap out.
just two today and
swap
then-
out. It's two today.
Which hospital is he in now?
Southeast.
That's what I thought. Yeah.
Would you say 30 minutes or about 8 or 10 hours, 12 hours longer?
It's time to get rid of that kind of stuff. Which in Florida, you know, it's signed into law today that they have to put stuff like that. That, you know, people don't have to be excluded if we're coming to stay in the hospital. So, yes, sir.
Me and,
How's Jen on the sheet?
Her shingles are actually better. The place where she had them at is not raised anymore, and it's basically gone.
Good.
So, but they're going to put the test on it.
I had, it's my sister-in-law's, there was their youth pastor, and they've been in his life, for like 20 years. He passed this last week, so it's, been rough on them and like the whole community.
Where's that at?
San Antonio.
San Antonio.
His name was Pastor, Warren Beamer, and he touched a lot of lives, there's a lot of people that hurt right now.
Gonna be a big hole in it. Absolutely. Let's remember that community and those folks. All right, anybody else?
Yeah. I want to, her and the group from the center of their school on missions with the Costa Rica. Trying to go.
You'll remember.
We'll never forget it.
Yeah, well, but tell her to go on, Lord got something for her to do down there. She can. Anybody else? Good. Who's gonna lead us in prayer tonight? Other than Will. Let's go. Don. All right, Don's gonna lead us in prayer. Let's bow our heads, y'all. All right, so what are y'all gonna do when you get to feeling bad about change? Y'all better go open up the Bible, boys.
I think he's that.
Done.